Well, everyone, Android 12 officially came out in a beta form, and I totally misleading. It's not official, it's just in a beta. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the major changes that have happened. Now, I did install the developer like pre-alpha beta, whatever it was, and there weren't a lot of changes in there. There were a couple of cool little changes like behind the UI and everything, but this specific beta does bring a lot of UI changes, and I'm really happy to talk about them. Now, very first off, probably one of the most notable changes as soon as you boot it up is actually a little bit of a new lock screen, not a lock screen. You can see that we do actually have the time in the center. So before, it would essentially just say the time up here, but now this actually looks a lot cleaner. And I want to say Android 12 is a major change when it comes down to the UI. That was one of the biggest things that I saw in all the leaks and everything we've been talking about. And I was kind of sad that the alpha beta didn't bring anything UI wise, but now we do have it. And this lock screen looks really good. It's very sleek. And one thing that I noticed is like when you're swiping up, all the animations look very smooth, which I'll get into in a second. But this new lock screen is really cool. You can customize it with a ton of different options, change the colors and everything. And from what I can tell, I'm not 100% too sure, but sometimes the time does change based on the wallpaper that you have. Now, I'm not 100% too sure, but it does seem like it's matching fairly well with the wallpaper that we have, which is really cool. Now, swiping up, we do get into our standard lock screen as well, and you can see that visually everything does look pretty much the same. There isn't anything super crazy that's changed just yet. However, when you swipe down from the control panel from top to status bar, you essentially will see a little bit of a newer design change. So this was another thing that was kind of leaked and kind of rumored around to be happening with Android 12, and it does seem like we have that new addition here. So I don't know if it's always going to be white here. To be honest, I'm not a humongous fan if it is going to, stay this color. Maybe we can change this later on in the settings. So I'm not going to say it's like fully like this yet, but right out the box, that's what it looks like. But you can see that up top, we do have a newer toggles, essentially our new toggles here. And before we had like 4 toggles or 5 toggles, you still have essentially almost the same amount of toggles here too. But you can actually see that we still have our status bar, everything up here. But when we scroll down, we do still have all of the same toggles as before. So this is again another major change that we have here. And that's something else that I'm really excited about. This was one of the things that have, been kind of rumored up to be happening and all the leaks and rumors. I know we eventually have it now. Now we still have essentially the same layout. So we have these toggles here and we can swipe to the side, and we can always add more toggles as well by clicking the, settings or little pencil icon, and it'll essentially take us into there. Now we did glitch out there. And so like I mentioned, all right, had to completely change locations, but like I mentioned before, there's going to be a lot of bugs within this specific software, so it's totally okay for the most part. But coming back here, I love how these buttons are a lot bigger. That's something I'm really, really happy about. And also this new brightness toggle has also changed. I was made aware that there could be a sound toggle that could be changing too, like being brought up here, but unfortunately we didn't get it. Maybe it'll come in different, versions or something. But clicking the pencil icon once more, you can go ahead and scroll down and see all of these little toggles that we have, pretty much the same ones as before. I don't really see anything super crazy, so again, I'm really happy about it. We also have this new quick connect toggle, which I think is a new VPN thing. I'm not 100% too sure, but I do see that I do have my NordVPN right there, which I think that was the last VPN I was using. So that's another cool little toggle if that's what I think it does. But essentially, the visual change is the most massive one. You can see that visually it does look a lot different, and that was one of the biggest changes that, again, we saw with our previous versions. Now, on top of this, we can click the settings icon and come into our settings. Now, you can see that it does look a lot different, and funny enough, it is really reminiscent on One UI. Like, it really reminds me of One UI. I was not expecting, stock Android to go in this direction, but I'm kind of cool with it. Like, it doesn't really look that bad. I think before there was a lot of text and a lot of writing on the previous version of Android. And when you look at something like iOS, I have my iPhone right here. You can see that it does look a lot more in line with something like iOS than, on the previous version of Android 11, which I'm really happy about. It looks a lot better. It does look like it's zoomed in a little bit, kind of like we're zooming in a little bit to the OS, but I think it looks great regardless. Now there is a cool little toggle, which I don't think it was there before on Android 11, but it's styles and wallpapers. And when you click on it, you can actually go ahead and change how the style is perceived on your specific UI. So right now I do have it on the default setting, but look what happens if I click on just the next toggle. You can see that a couple things change. The toggles, end up being brown. If I swipe down, I don't know if it changes yet. It doesn't change yet, but you can go ahead and change them to a lot of different options. You can change the icons to go this way. My favorite one though is this little option right here. So it changes the text to green over here, but also changes the apps to a square icon. Now, if I go and click accept right here, if I click accept, watch what happens. I swipe out, all the icons are now, actually squared off. But now if I swipe down, the settings and all this stuff is actually green now. So that's another cool little, design change that just happened. So you can go ahead and also, if you want to, swipe back, click back on styles and wallpapers. You can click custom. You can actually go ahead and change whichever way you want to. So if you want the text to be here, great. If you want the icons to be more like this or like this, well, you can go and change that too. And if you want the text of this to be something like blue or something instead, or like this type of blue, click next. And you can go ahead and choose whatever shape you want to here as well. Maybe some people prefer this, maybe some people prefer this, but you have the option of essentially doing it. And now look, the settings icons also change, but also our things here change, and also the color up here is what we want it to be. So this is a really cool little thing that was added within Android 12. And in my opinion, I think I'm really happy about that. That's something that's really cool, and I'm really happy to see Google implement this in the specific next version of Android. Now, I do want to say another massive thing that I saw with Android 12, and I don't know if this is just because it's a first beta or because it's not even freshly installed. Like, I still have all my apps as before, but it just seems like all the app openings and app closings are a lot smoother within Android 12 than on Android 11. So just by opening apps and stuff now, it still seems a little slow over camera. But if I go and like open up, especially these stock Android apps, if I open up something like Fruit Ninja, it's still not going to be like super smooth, but you can see that it doesn't glitch up as much. And I notice this with my Pixels, they're always a little bit smoother. And I don't know what happened to this app, but it does seem like it's a little bit smoother overall, and it doesn't glitch up, especially swiping up here. It seems a lot smoother. Clicking on stock Google apps, those look extremely smooth. And even opening up an app like Temple Run, it seems like it's a lot smoother to open up on the front screen and to swipe out of, as you guys can see. And another big change that you guys saw with Android 12 that I mentioned before is that we no longer have to swipe up twice to get out of a full screen app. We can just drag on from the bottom and swipe up. Now, I guess it's not implemented all the time, and I think it's only implemented right now on stock Google apps. So if I go into an app like Google Photos, for example, and if I go into an image like this and I swipe out, you can see that it technically kind of goes into full screen. Well, if I go and swipe out, well, that's not even really that good of an example, but that is something that is set to be a new feature within Android 12. So I'm not really complaining about that, but it does seem a lot smoother overall, which I'm really happy about. Hopefully that's not a placebo effect. And you can see this new animation when you swipe up from the bottom. It seems like it almost like jiggles up and then it kind of jiggles down, if you guys can see kind of what I'm talking about. We're also supposed to be getting some new privacy features within Android 12 as well. That's another pretty big advantage, almost something like iOS 14. Again, I'm not 100% too sure because I saw the keynote and it does look really cool. So essentially, we're going to be notified of things like camera, microphone, any other area like that. If a phone is using those things in the background, it's essentially going to notify us, which is really cool. There's going to be a new widget system in place as well. Now, it doesn't seem like any of those new widgets are here. I've kind of looked at a few, but it seems like we still have essentially the same type of widgets as before, but essentially we're going to be getting some newer, modern looking widgets. All the widgets we've had, even this one has looked the same since like Android 5 or Android 6. So hopefully we can get some new improvements there too. And Google did mention that. So that's essentially it. Those are going to be some really cool improvements, and eventually when Android 12 eventually comes out, but those are kind of a sneak peek in a way of this beta. So that's essentially it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.